Okay guys, we're back with the second part, which is our stud frame wall. So in the first video I was using these plans, which were for the full size building. Now what you've received in your package is a scaled down version where all these numbers are actually the same and they match up with what you'll be doing. In your pack, so you know which one the stud frame wall is, you would have received two pieces which are 400 millimeters long. You would have got 10 studs, even though you only need 8, and the studs are at 230. And you would have got some noggins, sill trimmers, and a lintel in there as well, but I'll pull those out in a little while. I'm just going to use some of this color-coded stuff that I've got here that I dyed up previously, so I'm going to be using the top and bottom plate in red. And for this first video, I'm going to be using my studs in green. So what we're going to do, we're just going to have a look at our different measurements on here, all the dimensions that we need to make it. You also need to know the names of the parts. I've left a couple of bits off your plans here, but this is the top plate, this section right up the top here, and your bottom plate just there. Also, this little piece that you see in here, which actually fits between two studs, is called the trimming block. We will talk about that in a minute. I'm going to use measuring and marking to do this one. And in my case, I just noticed, and yours won't be like this. Here's an example of one of yours. Yours should be exactly 400. When I cut these ones, I think I went a bit over, so I'm looking at about 403. So I'm going to show you a way just to get over or around that. Hopefully you don't have to do it, but this technique's going to help with our stud frame wall. So I'm firstly going to lay my ruler on, and I'm going to mark on one of my plates. You can see I've got stud, trimming block, stud. So they're each 7 millimeters in the scaled down version. So I'm going to go 7 millimeters. I'll then bring it out to 14 millimeters. Oops, 7 millimeters, 14 millimeters, and of course 21 millimeters would do those three. Okay. It then gives me 53 mil here between the studs. All right. So a little bit different to the way we marked out the other one, but that's what we're going to go with to make it a bit easier. So I'm going to go 53 millimeters there. I then need my 7 millimeters to mark out where that next stud is. And then I'm going to go 53 again. I'll try and do it nice and quick for you. Then I'm going to go 7. And then I'm going to go 53 again. And another 7. You could do this with a tape measure. If you've got a tape measure at home, you should be able to do it with just about any ruler. Obviously, the more accurate your marking up is, the better. Now I'm getting close to my final one here, and I'm just going to show you that little trick that you might want to use. Just to see me coming along, I'm going to go 53 from there, plus another 7. All right. Now I'm going to come back and start at this end, simply because my plates were a little bit longer. So I'm going to end up with having one of these noggins, which are these bits here. It's going to be slightly longer, but we've overcut yours a little bit anyway. But hopefully, like I said, you don't have to do this. So I'm just going to mark my 7, my 14, 7, 14, and my 21 just in there. Now, the little square that we gave for you guys, which I don't seem to be able to find mine at the moment, but that little piece of square timber that you had will be perfect for marking this out. In my case, I'm just going to switch back to a square, just because I've got one here. So I can mark it up nice and quick for you. So I'm marking the top and bottom plates together. And the reason for that is, when I pull the wall apart, because one's at the top and one's at the bottom, you can imagine in a full-size wall, they're a long way away from each other. I'm going to know that all my marks line up. Now for this part, remember for the floor, when we did our subfloor, we used a timber which is called 90 by 45 radiator pine framing timber. For this one, it's actually a smaller size timber. So in this case, the full scale version is 70 by 35 radiator pine framing timber. Okay, and they're quite different. Here's two pieces here. So you can see your 90 by 45, your 70 by 35. Now it all depends on the person that drew the drawing. Could have been an architect or a draftsman. What's been specified depending on your building. So let's just say, for example, you were building a building in a place with high winds or cyclones and things like that. They might have specified a thicker timber, a stronger timber. But in this case, the specification has left us with the 70 by 35 because that's considered strong enough for this particular application. So scaled down, 70 by 35 becomes 7 by 14. So I'm just going to take those two. You guys would have got a little bit of glue like this. Pop the top off my glue. You would have got a paddle pop stick. And I'm just going to use my paddle pop stick here to apply some glue. You'll remember if you've built the other one, not too little, not too much. The one that I'm not going to do at this stage though is the one in the middle, because it is for this jack stud and that support stud down the bottom there. Oops. And after saying I'm not going to do it, what have I done? I've just gone and done it. So I'll have to just wipe that off quickly. You probably get the rest of the video here pretty easily, guys. One thing I could have done to make my life easier is just continue those marks around the side, just so I could see when I'm lining up. I think I can still probably do it. I'll just remove that glue from the one that I didn't want. Chuck a little bit more glue on the one that I did want, which was that one. And I'll be ready to start assembling. All right, and here are my studs, where the the wall gets its name from, a stud frame wall. So I'm just going to lay that out. I'm going to start with a stud here on the edge, and I'm going to need my trimming blocks. Going to use raw timber ones, but in this case the trimming block does require a little bit of glue. It's not going to hurt to hold it in. Usually be held in with nails, but we don't have nails, so we're just going to put a bit of glue on the trimming blocks and place those roughly in the center. And then I'm going to put my second stud in there. Might just do the other end. So stud, trimming block, and stud. And then just placing in the next 4 studs that I'm going to want to have in there. 2, 3, and 4. Just take a little bit of time now, making sure all my marks are pretty well lined up there. And if I had my little square, there it is. I found it, was hidden away there. I could just start to check and see if my wall's looking square in all those different places. Not too bad. Remember the overall best way to check. I'll slide that up a touch. Is to measure the diagonals. So here I've got about 472. Here I've got about 474. So I need to squeeze it a little bit on that long edge, not much at all, just a fraction. I'll do that again after I've taped. And getting the tape, which you should have in your pack, I'm just starting to get all that held together, trying to put a bit of tension on the tape. Take your time with this. Obviously I'm trying to go a little bit faster to get the video done, but take your time, make sure all your marks are lined up as you're doing it, make sure your tape's nice and tight. And I will come back in a minute with the second part of the video, which will be putting in all these other parts, like the sill trimmer, the lintel, support stud, jack stud, and how we go about doing that. Okay, thanks guys.